Hey there, it's Rocky Logue with Classroom Conversations. In this conversation, we talk to Stephanie Lee and Kristin Cable from Nipomo High School. They're both math teachers, and they're going to tell us how they use Seesaw and Peardeck to engage their students, to assess their students, and for interventions. So let's get into it. So today I'm here with Kristin Cable and Stephanie Lee. They both teach math at Nipomo High School in Nipomo, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit more. Go ahead.
I am Stephanie Lee. Again, I teach math at Nipomo High School. This year teaching Algebra 1 and Data Science.
And I am Kristin Cable. I also teach at Nipomo High School. I'm teaching Algebra Foundation this year and also Algebra 1.
Yeah, so something that we found super helpful, and I've heard a lot of math teachers have been using it, is Peardeck. So it's a way for us to get feedback on the lesson and different content from students and be able to see every single one of our students' replies. And so we get engagement from everybody, which is cool because we don't even get that in person. So a lot of the times in person, we have to like walk around to every kid and take a look at all of their work to kind of get a feel of what they know. Whereas here, you just see it all on your screen and you can see exactly what they know, what they don't know, if they're stuck, if they have a question, and then you can give them feedback that's not displayed to the whole class. So it feels a little bit more safe to also just like try things if they don't know what they're doing. So that's helpful as well. So Kristin, I'll share my screen if you want to kind of like walk through what we do.
Okay. So we always start off with making the slides beforehand, knowing what is our essential standard for the week or for that day. And then we make sure that when we prepare these slides that we have all types of questions. So like the kids might need to identify something in one, they need to describe something and so on. And we have a lot of these ones where like we like them to explain the error, and there's different ways the kids can give us feedback. Like sometimes it's drawing on the slide, sometimes it's writing using the text bar and writing what's wrong. It just depends on what the question is asking. We like to, as we're going through, what we'll do is we will, on our end, we'll look at it and we're able to immediately go, and hit comment for each individual kid and let them know like, hey, try again, number 1. And you can see the kids erasing it and trying it again, which is really awesome. It's an immediate feedback, which is really cool.
Yeah, and we've discussed Peardeck in some of the other ones too. And what's cool is you can let the other kids see the answers, or you can have them hidden. And sometimes that's nice with them hidden because then you can really see what they know, and you're instead of them just following along with what other people are saying or doing what other people are doing. It's nice that you can keep those hidden. Then you can open them up and you can share them with the rest of the class too.
Exactly. And what we like to do too is we will open up our own Peardeck where we're like a student in the class. So like on the next slide that she has here, what we'll do is we'll let the kids, we'll give them plenty of time to graph it on their own. We'll give them feedback. And then what we do is on GoGuardian, we make sure all the kids are back on the meet, and then we can actually graph it for them. And then we have them toggle between their Peardeck and the meet. And like that way they can actually see if they got the answer right or wrong.
Yeah, and then it's important to note that we're also doing flipped classroom this semester. So we started after Thanksgiving just to kind of test it out, because we figured when we played our lessons in class, half the kids were there and half the kids weren't there and off doing whatever they were doing. So we figured that it might be better if we just recorded our videos ahead of time. That's their homework. And then in class, we just do practice. And I would say probably the same amount of kids are watching the videos beforehand that we're watching them in class anyway. So we're getting a lot more practice time, which is super important. So that's been kind of a game changer for us too.
That's really cool. I've done that. I teach social studies, and I did that before this whole time. We did, their only homework was a 10-minute like mini lesson of just us talking about it, the teachers that I had in my department. And so they'd watch that, and it made the conversations when they came in so much better, because some kids were more confident because they got to see it beforehand. And they had a little bit more knowledge of the vocabulary than me just giving it to them and then having the discussion. And I think with math, that'd be great too. That makes that homework accessible to everybody. Everybody can watch that video, as opposed to maybe if you're at home with a parent who doesn't quite know how to help with, inequalities and graphing inequalities. That takes that away from that. Well, I couldn't do it because I didn't know how, or I didn't have somebody to help me.
Yeah.
Another thing that we've been doing is we have been, so we'll give them basically what they're doing for the day, or like the last 3 or 4 slides. And if we see that they know exactly what they're doing on the first slide, because they've taken their notes, they've shown everything they need to show, we will either message them on Go Guardian or on Peardeck individually and be like, hey, you got this, you're good to go. And it's an incentive for the kids to make sure that they're taking their notes ahead of time and being ready for class. And the kids know we do this, so like they're super excited when they get to go early and while everybody else is in the class, which is also a great thing for us, because it narrows it down to those kids that really do need the help, the extra interventions and whatnot.
And then if you're doing this same process kind of when we go back in person, that will help a lot to actually, those kids who are getting it, they obviously can't leave class early, but then you can have extension activities for those kids. It's easy to get those kids into groups where you can really help out in class with interventions, and then have some extension activities for those kids who do understand it quicker.
Yeah, we've been talking about how we're going to do this when we go back to in-person, and if we want to keep flipped classroom. And we were thinking that for the kids who didn't watch the video, we could have that as a station or something like that, where they have to watch it and then we're doing practice with everybody else, or still trying to like figure out how we're going to do that, but definitely want to keep flipped classroom, because at least we have all that practice time now.
And you have it all made too. So if a kid has to go on an extended or go on a independent study contract or something, hey, here's, a video you can watch of the instruction. It takes a little work to get it all done in the beginning, but now you have a library of stuff you can use at your, whenever you need it.
Yeah, that's true.
So then what we usually do after we've done the lessons, which usually, or for the unit, we'll do about, 2 weeks worth of lessons. We'll take those same slides that we've used in those lessons in Peardeck, and then we transfer them over to Seesaw, and we create a unit test. So that way the kids will have to actually show us and describe to us using the microphone tool how they solve each problem, because it eliminates for us all the questionings if they're cheating or not, instead of like a Google form or whatever they're doing beforehand, or whatever we were having them test on beforehand.
Yeah, and that does seem useful. I had Natalie Manasar talk about Seesaw, and I was pretty impressed by all this stuff, because it's the same thing. We all talk about cheating during this time, but if you're giving, for me, social studies, just a vocabulary test that a kid's doing online that they could find on their phone in the first place, is that really cheating, or are they just getting the work done? So then it's just finding those higher level questions. For me, it's they write an essay. For you guys, I like the on video explaining, okay, you did the problem, now tell me how you did it, right? You got it correct, but can you explain your steps, or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. We can definitely see who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't know what they're talking about. And so we can also tell like if they're just like reading off their steps, or if they actually know why those steps work. So that's been awesome.
And even if they are sitting there with the menu in front of them reading off, at least that's another reinforcement of what they're supposed to do, right? So even if you're forcing them to like, okay, I kind of didn't do this right, but let me read it to them. That's another way that hopefully it's helping it, sink in.
Yeah, we also know when they're reading straight from like photo math. So that's been a helpful tool.
All right. So that all seems really great. So Peardeck and Flip Classroom seems to be working really nice. Those are both good things to use in classes. Thanks for coming today and sharing your stuff.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right.